Welcome, folks, to the Revitalized podcast, Adaptations, where I interview colleagues of mine in the fitness industry. And today, I've got a special one for you. I grew up not necessarily trusting many people. And when I've learned that supplementation industry is an industry that's not heavily regulated, I trusted supplements much less. That is until I met my two guests here, Kevin Papa and Nicole Bermeo.
I like that, Bermeo. No, you're good.
Close enough.
I'm so sorry. Thank you guys for coming here. I really appreciate you guys carving out the time. The major theme that I have the theme that I'm envisioning with this episode is I want to do an episode on DECA and TRT and why you should get into it. No. I want to talk about integrity in the supplement industry because I think that you guys really emulate that. Not emulate. You guys resemble that very well. Okay. So let's start from the genesis. Okay. How'd you guys meet?
How we meet? Instagram.
Okay.
I slipped into her DMs.
Hey, okay.
Right before COVID. Right before COVID.
All right.
Right before the company started.
January. Well, no, I had already because with a new product especially, it took, I think, 12 weeks from finding a manufacturer to getting the product. It might have been longer than that. So there was a weird waiting period where it was like, hey, this is coming. And then it was like, okay, it's almost here. Okay, I had gone to Iron Vault with Ray to film a couple different things. I actually didn't even have a pre-workout. I had samples, and we went to GNC. I had them print a label, and I had a collagen. I found a pre-workout, like a supplement tub that was the same size. So we slapped the label on it and just brought it to Iron Vault. Yeah.
Holy cow.
So, and then I think I just DM'd her one day, and then we just started talking.
Nice. So, I remember when we first met, we met at Adelante Barber Club. You walked in and he was like, yo, man, you want some of this stuff? This stuff's good. And he handed me like a baggie with like some powder. And I was like, I grew up in Newark, so I know to say yes to free stuff. That thing can be expensive. But no, I really love that. That's just how the genesis of the supplement company, and that you were really adamant about getting it done no matter what. And you kind of finessed it a little bit using somebody else's tub. So what made you want to start a supplement company?
I was always a very, I don't want to say wayward. I didn't know what I really wanted to do with life. I think it resonates with a lot of people where I was good at selling. I was good at different odd jobs. I got my associate's degree. I thought about going back, getting a nursing degree, but I didn't have anything that I loved. And I'd always loved the training. I was a personal trainer for a long time, but as people who are you yourself, it's very hard to make that a full-time job. And, I'd caddy since I was 12 years old. So summertime I do that, but it was like, I wanted a job that I could just call a job instead of being like, oh, it's cold now, I can't work. So I had been working. I had created the formula over like 3 or 4 years of just kind of tweaking it. And the coolest part about it was I did not originally say I'm going to sell this. I think a lot of people have an idea and they immediately are like, okay, how do I monetize this? And I didn't do that. I was like, okay, screw all the other companies out there. I don't like these products. I'm just going to tweak it and just keep changing different things. And what does it mean to me? How can I make my Rolls Royce of a formula? And that's what came out of it. And I never thought to sell it because, I wanted an FDA regulated facility. You can't just like, hey, can I get can you just make this for me? Like, no one's going to do that. So from 2015 to 2016, till right before COVID, I just had this thing that I really liked. And then I went through a really rough, I had quit Impact Zone as a trainer and started doing strength and conditioning under Danny Tochi, who was a kind of a mentor kind of for a little bit for me. And realized it's a grind. You're not making a lot of money. And I just had like an identity crisis where it's like, at the time I was like 25 or 26. I could work my ass off and make, stay above water, but I wasn't enjoying it. And I don't want to say depression, but I just had a really rough summer. Just a lot of other things that went on. And I had I felt like I was sitting in like a 10-foot hole every day I'd wake up. And I just had a moment where I was like, you got to do this. You got to try it. You got to have something you love. And I did it, not realizing there was going to be, hey, you can't just sell one product. You can't just have 2 flavors. You can't do all these things. So it just kind of, we opened the door and then everything else flooded in. From there we turned it into, like, she helped. I never thought of apparel. Like, if you look at our old stuff, it was just the stupid circle emblem. Like, I didn't know how to do that stuff. So she helped with that stuff. And it's been such a journey so far. It's been an amazing, again, I didn't mean to monetize it at first. I hate when I see supplement companies that come out and the first post is like, hey, we have 15 products. And it's like, you have 15 products. It's cool I think to look back and say, okay, here was the original formula. Okay, we deviated from that. Okay, we have a pump product. We have this, we have that, we have old school apparel. It wasn't just, I didn't just pay someone $1 million to just make this all for me. So it's just cool to look at it that way and see the actual journey. And that's why we try to be as honest and real on Instagram and social media instead of pretending it's like Kevin from Team 110. It's like just show the raw, emotion, the pitfalls, everything. And, it's resonated with people. So it's been very cool.
Yeah. So like in 2013, 2014, 2015, 16, when I was first getting into the gym, I always thought of supplements as like, it's official. Like you got to be a huge multi-million-dollar company to be able to run a supplement company. Were you at all intimidated by the other major supplement brands?
I mean, I don't know how she feels, but I still am. I mean, I wouldn't say intimidated, but I think I had this thing I got from somebody that's like, run your own race. So, I think in any field you can look, especially with social media, you can look and see someone that's just absolutely killing it. Be like, damn, I wish that company could post anything and get 20,000 likes or 100,000 likes. They have CBUM, they have all these different people that are involved. I couldn't touch that. Their marketing budget for 1 week in March is what we make in a year, but you gotta. Our growth is what matters. So it's very easy because all of those companies, whether they're making that money or not, they invested into that facade that shows that they're killing it. And I think it's like if you wake up every day and start comparing yourself to everyone else, you've lost. Are there times to take feedback or to say they're doing this correctly, let's do that? Yeah, but if you try to do, I think the sad thing about being a human is that we compare ourselves to other people and then we end up just not even emulating, but copying what they're doing. And then you end up being a clone of everyone else. You're not doing things your way. Yeah. And in order to be successful in whatever you do, you have to take that risk and maybe look weird at first or maybe be a really small company. I don't ever care if we're in GNC or anywhere else. We have our own goals. And as long as we hit those, I don't care.
What are your goals?
To be able to make a long-term living off of this. I mean, I put everything into this company, like financially everything in the company. I mean, I live off of it, but I have athletes that I still coach, and that's really my stream of income.
Wait, so no small loan of $1 million?
No, anybody listening to this, you want to hand me $1 million? No, but even that, like I had people that came even now that want to invest in it, and from years of watching Shark Tank and seeing investors investing, I don't want anyone to because you're going to get into it now. 10 years from now, when we're fully matured, you can have 5%. But right now, I don't want to give you any of that because we have one investor, a friend of mine. Even that hurts monthly, like having to. I don't want to do that. I'd rather put the work in now, and we benefit from that because we did it. If someone came on and wanted to invest, if they were a silent partner, I'd say no. If we're actually going to bring something to the table, sure. She's earned what she has part of it. She's not silent. She's helped build so many things that and at the end of the day, when it matures into this company, like as it has, she deserves every part of it, just like I do. I'm not sitting home counting money, not doing anything. We're literally doing it. We're going to leave here and I'm going to go to the warehouse and take a couple photos, fold things, do inventory. It's important to be, to do that.
So Nicole, did you always want to be a partner of a supplement company when you grew up?
I think a lot of people think this is my full-time job. So I am in tech. I'm in product management. I have a full-time job by myself. Me and Kevin just do this together. And
holy cow! Wait, hold on. So I was gonna say most guys take their girlfriends ice skating or rollerblading. He took you to the warehouse. He was like, "Hey, we're gonna pack up some orders." And you're like,
not even. I took him to the warehouse and was like, "We're gonna rent this place." But I think we're a good partnership because Kevin is very creative and he's like, sort of the brains of the way he wants to market the company and that type of thing. He's the face of the company. But I do all of like the back end work, like setting up the sales and doing all the tech stuff. And I do all of our, design stuff and that kind of coordination. So, I love Kevin. He's not organized at all, though. And I am very much a planner. My calendar is planned out by, 30-minute increments. So the two of us together, I think we make a good partnership.
Perfect partnership. Yeah. It's like Kevin's like the bazooka. He's aiming. He's like, I'm ready to blow shit up. And you're like, point it over there. Make sure we don't blow us up. All right.
Reel him in a little bit.
I could wake up and be like, this is a great idea. Let's do this. And she'd be like, hold on one second. Let's wait. Where are the logistics? So I think it's a very good partnership.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. There's an equal balance to both, head in the clouds, feet in the ground. You start running and there's just no limit. That's great.
But I also think she doesn't get enough credit because I think that, and again, I think this, exists in other industries, other companies, where the person that is the face of the, I'm traveling a lot. She can't travel all the time for the company. She works a full-time job. So people see me. And while I think I've earned that and deserve that, you have people that think it's just me. And it's like, no, she's a huge part of that. Ray is a huge part of it. There's a lot of people that make up that team. And I'd like to be able to shine light on the people that deserve it. Because if she comes up with a great idea, she should get credit for it. I don't want to get credit for something that, like, people come up, the balance, the women hormonal blend we have, which is a phenomenal formula, especially compared to other companies' products that are similar. People come to me and be like, wow, this is a great formula. How'd you come up with it? I'm like, I'm not a woman. I didn't come up with it. I didn't do the research.
What? You're telling me you're not trying to dictate a woman how to run her body?
Well,
what?
But it's weird how people will just think that you're I'm the only person that's part of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was rocking like the Reps for Ramen shirt, right? And then my girlfriend looks at Reps for Ramen and she looks at your page. She's like, oh, so this is where it came from. I'm like, yeah. It kind of makes sense that way.
She didn't think I copied.
Well,
a lot of people are like, oh, like you copied from XYZ, like with our designs and stuff like that.
So that brings me back to like a great question, because supplements is kind of like, there's a lot of research going on in supplements just simply because now it's being recognized as a very large market. But people are very interested in supplements. So obviously I'm preaching to the choir here. But my point is, it's not like building out the new phone where you can come up with new features. You just take your own blend and you create a very good. Now I'm getting ahead of myself, but what makes you guys different?
I know what you're saying, and I think that. Well, I mean, I think I think there's a lot of copycatting, and I think you have to, because there's only a pool of 40, 50 ingredients that you're really going to add to, let's say, a pre-workout or like a sleep formula. What are you really going to put in there? There's not 75 million different ways you can go. There's going to be the same stuff. So there's like this balance between not absolutely ripping somebody else off, but then you see other people that have, I've seen people that bought 110 for a while, and then all of a sudden they make their own pre-workout, and it's the same thing, except maybe like the theanine is out or this is out or whatever. And it's like, is that really copying? I mean, could the guy who came up with citrulline be like, you all copied me? I mean, it's weird. And I think that it's easy to start something and get your friends to buy it, the local gym to buy it, whatever. But to expand it into some dude in California trying your product or someone in Japan ordering it or whatever, it gets very difficult. But there is a huge, just a plethora of different people that start a company, and do they have a formulator? Do they just randomly come up with it on their own? Do they whatever? Like with
what's a formulator?
So like I came up with our first the base pre-workout this right here. Everything else we've done was either with her or in collaboration with Casey. He's a chemist. He's a food scientist. He's a guy who is part of the company. Okay. If you ever see any of our other products, you'll see his logo on the back of it. So like the sleep formula, things like that. I'll come to him with an idea and say, this is what I kind of want to do. And he does a lot of the, the research and things like that, because I am not a scientist. I might understand the data. I can look at but you have to put people in charge. And I think a lot of these companies you see are just kids that just like, oh, this is the new hot thing, I'm going to put in the product. There are companies out there that have, like, the new thing now is to have trademarked ingredients. Okay. So there's companies where it looks like a NASCAR car. There's like 15 or 20 different trademarks, but I laugh because that doesn't make it better. Yeah. Using carnosine beta-alanine makes the product more expensive, but doesn't make it better. Okay. A good source of creatine monohydrate, I think it's like 92% absorption rate, right? So why creatine mono is so great? It's cheap. You go with a Creapure that's like 95% absorption rate or 97%. Are you going to double the price just to put 7% more absorption? It's one of those things that people will use ways to like make it, or they'll put like I'm not going to name the name, but there's a supplement company that loves doing like Welch's grape juice or whatever. Who cares? Just make an orange soda. Why would I spend more money to have some orange soda company, Fanta, on here, and then I have to pay Fanta, and then my product's more expensive? So there's a million different ways to do it, but a lot of times I think people buy products because their favorite bodybuilder or powerlifter or whatever sells it, is an athlete, not because of the actual product. And I think if we can do anything, I would love to be part of the group of people that, and there are other supplement companies that do it, that are teaching, that are bringing education forward, not just saying, hey, buy our product. Like I always say, I'd want you to do the research into why we think this product is that great, not because you just believe us hook, line, and sinker. And I think that the industry slowly, you're seeing people have access to PubMed research or to different things, and it's not just like a bunch of woo-woo bullshit. There is a lot of science behind it.
So talk to me about this product then. So let's look at the top 3 big ingredients. L-citrulline, DL malate 2-to-1 ratio. What is that? What does it do to my body?
So citrulline is a nitric. It's great for boosting nitric oxide. Citrulline is so years ago, you had citrulline malate bonded, L-citrulline bonded to malic acid. I'm not going to get into the Krebs cycle because people are laughing that know what the Krebs cycle is, but malic acid is very important to that. Malate is a very important part. Citrulline is really the more expensive and important piece of it. So you want to have between 6 to 8 to 10 grams of L-citrulline.
Okay.
This product has 6 grams of L-citrulline. Our Pumpre has 8 grams per serving.
Okay.
That is something that's funny to me because the industry started moving towards 20 servings. And most people who don't buy 110, you go into your cabinet and buy, you look at your pre-workout, it says 40 servings that are really 20 servings, or it might just say 20 servings. So you could look at a company that has, let's say, 8 grams of L-citrulline and go, wow, this product has more citrulline. You got to look at it. If I can tell everyone right now, whether you buy 110 or not, look at the per tub serving, not the serving size. Because again, let's say you sell a pre-workout, you have 20 servings, you have 8 grams of L-citrulline. You're going to say, well, we have more citrulline per serving. But per tub, your product costs $55 for 20 servings. This is $45 for 30 servings. You're getting more out of this. But because, you know what I mean? Like you can mess around with the serving size as opposed to what's actually in the full tub. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah. So what you're saying is like they're going to boast about this certain ingredient, let's say L-citrulline in this example. But what you're saying is you got to look at the amount per tub, not the amount per scoop, which is what's on this label. So how would you identify the amount per tub?
So you'd have you see per serving on the container.
Okay.
I would tell people, if you see a company that says 40 servings here, let's say, and then it says 40 is like a half serving and then 20 is the real serving, I'd stay away from a company like that.
40 is a half serving?
So a lot of companies will write like 40 servings right here.
Okay.
But in reality, it's actually like, in order to get that full serving of 8 grams citrulline, it's actually 20 servings.
Oh.
So there's a lot of manipulation there where you're trying to get someone to buy and say, oh, I have 40 servings, but the 40 serving is really a half scoop. It'll say like 40 half scoop, 20 full scoop.
Oh.
Which is bullshit. Just tell them it's 30 servings. Like if you want a half scoop, you can use half a scoop, but it's half a scoop. It's not 60 servings. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We've had people do that. I've had, I'm not going to name, again, we had a nutrition store that was like talking shit about us for some reason. I don't know if we rubbed them the wrong way. And they were saying how this other product was better because it had more in it, but in reality, it was 20 servings and this was better. I think also, I would never say this is superior because you might like high stim, right? You might like whatever, and it might not be in here. So I tell people, again, if you like 110 or you like whatever it might be, take your categories. I really care about flavor. Okay, that matters.
Yeah.
I really just want a low stim. I work. I'm an accountant or whatever. I don't want a lot of caffeine. Okay, you should look at it like that instead of just buying a product.
Right.
So I would say this is one of the best products because it's $1.50 per serving. You're getting 30 full servings. It's naturally colored. It's got 6 grams of L-citrulline. You're getting you're getting a choline source with alpha GBC. It's a single stimulant source. It's just caffeine. It doesn't have DMAA or anything else. It doesn't have dicaffeine malate. You're not going to crash. You're going to feel really good, and it's something that is effective without being overdoing it.
Okay.
Some people might like that. Some people might want the DMAA or 500 milligrams.
What's DMAA?
I don't want to get into the fine.
What does it do? I guess
it's a derivative. It's something that it's banned in USAPL. It's banned in most tested sources.
For the people out there that don't know what DMAA,
DMAA is just like it's like caffeine, but it's like instead of driving at 40 miles an hour, your foot's pedal is all the way down. You're going 95. It's something that I'm sure some people love it.
Okay,
but I look at it like what goes up must come down. If I'm training 5 days a week, why would I want to take that?
Yeah.
You know, if you had a really one day of work training really heavy, it might make sense for you to take it. But like, it's not something that you necessarily need.
But that's something to watch out for if you're tested. Yes. Yeah, if you're tested, is DMA.
Yes, DMAA, DMAE.
DMAE.
This is what happens too with the FDA. They'll ban a certain ingredient like DMAA, and then they'll make someone will make DMAE, or they'll just change a molecule, or they'll change whatever, and then you have a new ingredient. You know, like ERIAJARENSIS. RENSIS. I don't know how to say it. It's Aerogenesis extract. That is, I believe, DMAA, but you'll see companies that write that on that instead of saying DMAA because you don't know what that is.
Right,
so another issue I have with a lot of this stuff is that most people, when they look at this, don't know what any of this stuff is.
Yeah.
And like what we're doing with our Casey, our formulator, is in Utah, but what I'd like to start doing with him is actually, with all of our products, go down and say, what is every single one of these things and what does it do?
Yeah.
When we release a new product, when we have a preview, like our sleep formula, we do 10 slides, and we ask him to go into detail on every single ingredient and why it's in there. Because again, 10 years ago, you had a lot of prop blends, proprietary blends, where they wouldn't tell you what you were getting. People have moved away from that. You don't really see that anymore. But they do other things to make it cheaper, to make more money on it, whatever. And the one thing I would love to see is just honesty.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm gonna sprout fucking wings and fly. Just tell me what it does. You know, you can sell me on it. You can have a hook on there. You can do whatever. But it's just, there should be more honesty and open. You know, just be more forward with what you're selling somebody.
Yeah.
And we try to do that with our products. It tastes great. It's one source of stimulant. You're getting the non-stimulant side, the pump, the focus, everything like that. And you're not going to crash afterwards.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's super incredible that you're very honest about that, because I think one of the stigma around the supplementation industry is that, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't get tested until you're on the shelf first, right?
You might not even get tested.
You might not even get tested at all.
The FDA does not. There are some senators, I believe, that are trying to pass bills that kind of like change these things.
Okay.
But you're not going to, unless you have, look at Jack, the original Jack 3D formula.
Yeah.
Unless someone has a heart attack or has like bad effects from it, they're not going to really test you.
Okay.
You know, the FDA is trying to get a little bit more hands-on, and I don't even know if that's the right way, because I don't know the government needs it, but there should be regulatory, like everything should be tested, but you don't really see that. A lot of manufacturers have moved to that. 10, 15 years ago, you didn't see that. Now, like manufacturers will third-party test, and you see a lot more, you know, cleaner, transparent labels and supplements. But there's always going to be ingredients that are new that haven't really been studied. You know, look at
testosterone.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's an NSAID hormone. It's not even new. It's been around for like 20 years. But every time it cycles and comes back, oh, it's this new thing, and it's bullshit. I'm not going to name, again, another supplement company. I'm not going to name them. The owner's he seems like a very smart person, but he's touting his product. Actually, multiple people were touting, oh, it's really pure, it does this. There's no studies to support that it does anything. Melatonin is another one. Melatonin, I don't think there's a single study out there, like a legitimate study, that shows positive correlation that it does anything that people think it does. So you go to Walgreens, you buy this thing thinking it's good, but there's nothing to support that claim. Mm-hmm. It's something that the seller of that product should have the impetus to do that and to be honest and say, you know, this might not be, you know, like, hey, even if you say like, we think this does, we like it anecdotally, but there's just not a lot of studies to support it. Every ingredient you see that someone sells, they make it seem like it's the Midas, the holy grail of ingredients, and it's just better to be honest, because otherwise supplements don't, you know, I'll be the first to say that it's not some magic potion. Mm-hmm. Like our sleep formula, it's not a magic potion. If you don't sleep well, if you're staring at your phone every night before you go to bed, you're not going to go to sleep. You have to practice good sleep hygiene, and it will amplify your sleep. It'll keep you asleep, but it's not Ambien. It's not. These other companies will act like their product like cures cancer, and it's just annoying to see that, because they make sales based on that, and you're lying to people.
So I know that you're a man of high integrity. I know that you're very honest with what you put in these tubs and these plastic containers. How could somebody out there, somebody in our audience, identify supplement companies that uphold the same values like you versus the ones that may be lying on the labels, maybe including some fluff in there just to boost their profit margins? What's the best way that they can
I want to hear what she has to say, but at first all I'll say is you need to do your own research. And that's the thing, is anything you take, you need to understand. If you go to the mechanic and you walk in and say, hey, this is what I need, right? And you don't know anything and you trust him, you are relying on him being honest, his experience and knowledge, and just not bullshitting you. It's the same with any other industry. You should never take my word for it. You shouldn't take anybody's word for it. And it's hard to do, but with this, in this world, with Google, with all of these technology where you can look at this stuff, do your own research.
What are some things that they should look for?
What do you mean in
terms of some of the things that,
I mean, there are people like Lane Norton, there's other people out there that will disseminate and look at data and say, hey, this ingredient, or you could literally look in Google all these ingredients, and I'm sure you'd find a study that was either broken down by somebody and put in layman terms, or you could learn a little bit, and it's out there. The information is out there. So I
guess first see if the ingredient has been studied.
If it's how new is it? Is something like citrulline has been around forever.
Okay.
Creatine has been around forever. Alpha GBC has been around for a long time. There's other ones that might have hey, it's been around for 5 years, not as much data. But again, that's none of these things are going to kill you, but it's also very important for you to look into, that ingredient, and then you're going to answer your own, do I like this product right there?
Yeah.
But even there's companies like, I won't name names, but that use elk antler extract and stuff like that.
It's good stuff.
And they advertise it as this great product, but you look it up and there's literally no research
Nothing
to
on
indicate that, it does anything. So you mentioned earlier, like, what sets us apart. for us, I think that we do a lot of research, whether it's me or Kevin or Casey, to make sure that we're using ingredients that actually are in the doses that are scientifically studied. So there's some companies that, might say like this many grams of this product does this, but then companies will put like a third of the amount in there. So we're using doses that are actually backed by research. We're using, ingredients that are backed by research, but then we're also adding that extra element of doing third-party testing, which, we are big in USAPL, as you know, because DMAA and things like that are banned if you do get drug tested. So just the fact that we're doing that extra step to make sure that our product is clean is a big reason why I think we stand out from other companies. And I don't know if Kevin agrees, but there's so many pre-workouts specifically in GNC and companies that, or just these supplement stores that have those ingredients and they're not calling it out as anything special, but me and Kevin know to look for that on the label, so we wouldn't necessarily buy it. But the kids go in and they're like, okay, I heard this gives like, great energy and stuff. And it's like, yeah, because you're basically taking drugs. But then they go and get tested and, they get, exactly. So I think a lot of people trust us because we do have that element of backing by science and then also third-party testing. And that's, I think, what sets us apart.
Is that what, I think I saw this. Oh, this little GMP label here. What's that?
It's a good manufacturing process facility, I believe. It's basically that's a seal that they get, a certification they get. Our manufacturer, you have, FDA will come in. Again, FDA will not regulate, but they will actually encourage the FDA to come in, look at the way they're doing things, what they're storing, because there might be an ingredient that the FDA is going to ban, or there's always things like that. So you're inviting them into the facility that's producing these supplements.
They do. So
it's all
the
made
organization
in the US.
does.
Yeah, it's all made in the U.S. It's a certification from GMP, basically saying, hey, they're making sure there isn't contamination. They're making sure that whatever that says that is on this label is in the 30 servings. And again, there's no cross contamination. You don't have a banned substance. They don't house banned substances because again, you could tell me that you store DMAA in your facility. And then you could say, but we don't use it in your product. But what happens if you run a someone else's product with DMAA in it, and then you run ours the next, but you don't clean there's a lot of stuff that can go into it. It's not just necessarily manipulating or lying. It could be sloppy manufacturing processes. Right. So one thing, it's funny because Casey said to me, and I laugh about it. Casey's worked with other companies, and he said to me, I think it was a few months ago, where he's like, I love working with you because you don't ask me, you don't say you want a pump pre, but it has to be below this price. I always tell them, make the product first and we'll build it out. We'll figure out a price. Yeah. And I like that because you'll have companies that will make a pump pre and it's like 3 grams of L-citrulline. And you're like, but you're making this to make money. And again, we all have to make money. Yeah. And that's another thing about it. It's not just about what, like she said about dosing it. I had a moment where when I had the original formula, we were about to make this one, and I looked around at other companies and I'm like, these companies make millions and millions of dollars. They have formulators. How am I out formulating them? Oh, because it's not about, they know what they should be adding, but they don't because they make less money on it. Citrulline is really expensive. You're seeing a lot of companies shift away from citrulline and use other ingredients that are, deviations from it. And personally, I will always go to citrulline because citrulline is a gold standard. You can make a creatine deviation. Doesn't mean it's, you have creatine, you have all these different creatines, but creatine mono always wins out because it's the cheapest and most effective form for what you're getting. So there's always going to be people trying to weave their way around putting the legitimate products in there and ingredients. And I'm not saying that this is like the gold standard, but it's not hard to be honest. But you see a lot of companies that don't do it because that doesn't make money. Honestly, it doesn't make money for you. It doesn't. Flashy ads and telling everyone that this product's the greatest thing ever is. Half these companies have IBB Pros on there, and they're like, yeah, this is what I use. No, you're on trend. You're on drugs, man. And I guarantee you're not even, like, one thing that pisses me off in this industry, and I see it in powerlifting, is people that are sponsored by a brand but don't even use the product. You're lying right to your own users.
Yeah, that's customers. Actually C4 in there. I was just joking.
All right, we're done. Get out. Nicole, let's go.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, this guy's got a GMP label on here. He's inviting the people that could potentially shut the business down into his facilities. Not actually you yourself, but you have an agent that's doing it to invest, to inspect the product that's in here to ensure that quality is actually what's being provided to the people. This man probably asked the teacher for homework before he left. No. Weren't you?
I was one that was like, oh, we're done? Okay, out.
So the one thing that's like going through my head a lot is your sense of honesty. Have you always been this honest?
I mean, we're all. I mean, I don't know. Like,
not everybody's
let's not act
dishonest.
like I'm an Eagle Scout. I mean, I have my own flaws, and I'm sure I'm a liar. I'm sure we're all hypocrites. I think that with something like this, your reputation matters, and especially because we're small. My reputation, like, okay, if I don't want to name any names, but if some X person who's a celebrity walks in, right? Dwayne Johnson could walk into a gym and tell you to buy whatever, and you'd buy it. Like, his reputation is so massive, people respect him so much that they'll buy anything he says. And I think that because we're kind of a smaller company, we're getting, people know about us, but you walk in, most people don't know us. My reputation matters that much more, and I'm not going to lie to you. And again, I'm sure there's times where, I am a hypocrite, or I am, a liar, or I am whatever, but I think it's important to, when you have a chance to really think about, because again, I don't say I want to do orange soda and it's out tomorrow, right? I don't do a new product and it's out tomorrow. It takes months and months and months, if not years. You have a chance to really set the tone and say, I want to make sure we do this the right way. Again, I'm not some special person. She keeps me in check a lot too, but it's just important to me to, if I'm going to make money off of this, I don't want to lie. I said before, when I used to work my last real full-time job before 110, I worked for a paint contractor, and I remember, I'm not going to name names because I love the guy that owns it, but I remember my first, I would work with the guy when he would go in and sell people on the paint job. I had one that was finally my turn to do it. So I go in, I sell this great paint job. We're going to use the top of the line Benjamin Moore paint, and then she loved it. Oh, it's going to look amazing. We walk out, and he turns to me and he's like, all right, we're going to use this one. And it was like a mid-tier paint. And I'm like, we sold her on the top of the level, which she's not going to know. But I know that we didn't do that. I'm going to walk in and make 10 grand off this, and you didn't get what you paid for. And I just think that in any industry, there's a way to make money while also not ripping people off and not overpromising or under-delivering. And it doesn't make us perfect. Doesn't mean we're the greatest pre-workout ever. But hopefully people see that. And if we can help change the industry just a little bit, that's cool.
And that's why I invited you here today. Because of that attitude. I love that attitude. Complete honesty, 100% transparency, 110% transparency, folks.
I don't know if that's possible, but.
So I'm going to play a game now. But I love that, though. That's exactly, just to touch on that a little bit more, that's exactly why when I was running through my head, supplementation is one of the biggest things that when people are getting into fitness, into whether it's transformation, body physique change, or whether it's strength training, one of the questions they always ask is, what supplements should I take, right? And that's why I always, direct them towards 110% is because you're going to get what's on the label, number one. Number two, it's a no bullshit product, and I quote. And number three, I love that it's not really overly stimulating. I love that, like you said, you can take this, go work out, come home, fall asleep, and then go on with the rest of your day the next day to work. So that is a great segue into our game. I'm going to play a game with you guys. All right. So I've got 3 products here.
Oh. I'm
going to name the ingredients, and you're going to tell me what product it is. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Da-da-da-da. Okay, so for the first magical product, we have one of the ingredients, I'm going to mispronounce this, is cytocholine, caffeine anhydrous, mucuna purins extract, agmatine sulfate.
Our productivity blend.
Ding, 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 ding. So what is this productivity blend?
So, as you said about stimulant sources, we're big on just one stimulant source. So I was a big believer in theanine. So theanine, before I made this product, when I was mixing it myself, I would actually make black tea as a caffeine source because caffeine is something that can be toxic at a higher level. So what if my scale's broken? It's okay if I take an extra gram of citrulline, but if you take too much caffeine, you could die. So I wouldn't mix caffeine into it. And what I noticed was when I would use something that had theanine in it, which is a sleep aid at a higher dose, is naturally found in black and green tea, I had a much smoother, no crash. When I would take just caffeine anhydrous, it was like you would feel the noticeable crash and descent. So I love, one of the things about the productivity blend, the focus capsules, things like that, is the ratio of caffeine to theanine. So with this, it's a 4-to-1 ratio, I believe, or 5-to-1. The focus capsules are a 4-to-1. This is a 1-to-1. So this is something that you take, like you could take right now, and you'd feel good. You wouldn't even feel the caffeine. It would just be a nice, noticeable, like it says, efficient, productive, we made the mocha version for, adding it to coffee, but it's more for gaming. It's more for studying. It's more for that stuff. But what I love about it is it's not a high amount of caffeine. So theoretically, you could take that earlier in the day and then train, take a scoop pre, or reverse. You could go work out at, 12 o'clock, go home, you have a bunch of work to do, take a scoop of productivity. The theanine in it, everything else in it, it's without sounding like a bullshit, thing. You have the mood boosting, the focus, without some kind of crazy crash. Positive elevation of your mood, and it speaks for itself. A lot of people love it.
Yeah, I have heard great things about this. I'm excited to try this one too. Next product, ashwagandha maca root powder, chestberry extract.
Balance.
The Balance, yes, the Balance female support supplement. So talk to me about this product.
So I used to have really terrible acne. I have endometriosis, which is, it essentially messes up your estrogen and progesterone levels. So it gives you really bad acne, really bad period cramps, all that type of stuff that no one ever wants to talk about. So a lot of powerlifters, and myself included, don't want to go on birth control just because of the amount that it makes you weaker compared to your normal self. And it also causes issues with depression and things like that. So I made this all scientifically backed ingredients that I've been taking for about 5 years. And essentially it is a way to naturally balance your hormone levels. So it removes the bad estrogen from your blood, really just evens out your hormones so that you're not getting those symptoms from PMS, or if you're, already going through PMS cramping, things like that, it'll mitigate any of that. So we have a lot of our athletes and just regular people that take it to help with, menopause or anything that might be affecting your hormone levels. And we've heard great reviews so far. So I think that's 110 users are primarily men, I would say. So one of the things that we're trying to do is start marketing a little bit more towards women, because this is one of those products that, almost every person who identifies as a woman is going to get their period. So just making it a little bit more comfortable for people to talk about and realize that this is a problem that everyone has, and just making sure that they can, get a hold of something like that. And it's not necessarily specific to people in powerlifting. It's,
Gotcha.
pretty generic.
Gotcha.
And to go back to what you had said earlier, we talked about earlier, most other companies that have a similar balanced product, they use ingredients, I forget the name of it, but they use ingredients that are downright not, she can elaborate on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies that will use literally 2 of the ingredients that are in that. I won't name any names, but there's one company I'm thinking of that uses chasteberry extract and ashwagandha only, and they charge $40 for, the product. And we have, 10 ingredients that we've scientifically researched. We posted, what each thing individually does, and we charge, not even close to that. So I think it's one of those things where it's all about consumer education again. People just see a lot of these female athletes that are in bodybuilding or in powerlifting advertise it, and they are huge on Instagram, and everyone sees that they're posting it. And like Kevin said before, none of them even use it. Like, I know for a fact that they don't use it. Some of them are using our product. So I think it's just, making people aware of like the differences between the different products and seeing how much more you get with some of our products versus the ones that are already out there and that people already are using just because celebrities in the industry are using it and recommending it.
That's awesome. Okay. That's a lot of questions running through my head with that one. So when you're taking that blend and you're saying you're going to be mitigating some of the PMS symptoms, it affects your mood as well, besides just the physical traits?
The product itself or the PMS?
Oh, no, the
product itself?
Yeah.
So it does help with mood swings. I mean, all of these symptoms from PMS are pretty much because of the imbalance of hormones.
Okay.
The different levels of progesterone, estrogen, all of that. So usually it'll lead to mood swings. So by balancing out that, combination of hormones that are flowing through your system, you are mitigating mood swings, period cramps, like hunger issues, cravings, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And, for me, I started it mostly because of acne. And, every person that I ever went to told me I had to go on birth control to help with my endometriosis. And I haven't had any issues with my skin since then. I haven't had any issues with PMS. We have a lot of our athletes that literally will say like it's night and day when I don't take it versus when I do take it. So just having a natural way to do that instead of having to rely on, exogenous hormones like birth control. I don't think people think of like, you hear about steroids, but birth control is essentially a steroid. It's hormones, and it's not stuff that, you're literally externally taking it to prevent yourself from getting your period, right? So people don't think of it like that, and they kind of just are like, oh, my gynecologist says I should go on this because it'll help with all of these symptoms. But they're not thinking of what they're actually putting in their body. So having a more natural way, which, obviously nothing is going to be as effective as birth control necessarily. It's not going to prevent you from getting pregnant, for example, but it will help mitigate some of those symptoms that, you are getting just by nature of having a period and having that imbalance.
Wow. You dodged a bullet, guys.
One of the biggest criticisms for our own company that I have is that we don't charge. If we charge what these other companies were charging, that product would be $100.
Yeah.
Probiotics, everything else she had said with ashwagandha, you're getting the same price as some of these products have 2 ingredients. What was the ingredient that's not good? One of those companies.
Which one?
They use something that can cause uterine cancer or something.
Oh, yeah, I forget the name of the ingredient, but it's pretty much proven to cause various types of cancer. But it's well known to also prevent PMS. So.
And so people are just so one of the things that I heard the other day on a different podcast is like there's no such thing as like side effects. There are only effects. And whether you're willing to take on the negative effects or the undesired effects for the desired effects. Are there any side effects with your products at all? Like no side effects, negative effects at all, besides getting swole, not fitting into your shirts? My pants ripped the other day. I should charge you for that.
You should. Send it to the email.
Good pump, man.
I'll
that
archive
butt pump
it.
Was crazy.
I would like to say that one thing that, again, one of the reasons I only use one stimulant source is the only thing I tell Casey when we make formulas is I want something that everybody can take. So I see a lot of these pre-workouts that are high stim or whatever. Could a 55, 60-year-old person take it? I don't know. Someone has heart problems, someone has whatever. I have so many people that have stomach issues that cannot take pre-workout, and they can take ours because we don't add those things. So I can't promise that there's no side effects. Caffeine on its own has side effects.
Right.
Triple scoop pre-workout, you might not sleep that night. There's other ones like, alpha GBC. That's not something you want to have over like 1,000 milligrams. I mean, not that it's going to kill you, but the problem with pre-workout and supplements in general is, if you take this once a week, that's different than someone who takes it 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. You might be over the limit, daily limit of certain things. But we try to formulate it where every single person on this planet can take it and not have any side effects.
Just to go off of that, I think just to generalize what you're saying, no product is perfect for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like I'm thinking back to balance, like you shouldn't take it if you're on birth control, for example. And, for this, you shouldn't take it if you're 90 probably, right? Like you probably shouldn't have a ton of caffeine. So I think it's just understanding you and how you are as a person and the types of things that you need and researching the product, going back to just making sure that you're researching everything that you're putting into your body rather than just blindly trusting what, we're saying, even though we know that we're trying to sell a good product. It's still up to the individual's discretion to see if those ingredients are what they're looking for and what would actually be good for them and what they're trying to do.
Okay. I'm going to revisit that in a moment. I got the last product. I was looking it up. The 3 ingredients that I can think of off the top of my head. Magnesium trionate.
Sleep formula.
Ding, 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 ding. He's 3 for 3, 3 for 3. Talk to me about the sleep formula.
So we have a number of products. So obviously we started with pre-workout. Obviously that's something that a lot of people won't take. A lot of people who work out don't take pre-workout. I wanted to deviate and make products for the everyday person. And again, I've always struggled with sleep. I used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to caddy, and then I'm the kind of person that can not function very well without getting 7-8 hours of sleep. And we live in a world where people are sitting in their house or in their bed in a dark, room, like that, or not practicing good sleep hygiene. But I've also never taken an Ambien or things like that because there's a cause and effect. And an
Ambien?
I meant to say like any kind of like doctor prescribed like Ambien or any of the other ones
like sleeping aids.
Yeah. Okay. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to not take those things. But there has to be a better way. And you even look at products like melatonin. Melatonin is, like I said, I'm not going to say objectively because there might be studies. But from my knowledge, there are not many studies that are like legit studies that prove a positive correlation with melatonin and good sleep or increasing your sleep. Some people swear by it. Melatonin is a hormone. It is slowly secreted throughout the day by your body, naturally. Taking 4 grams of it in a gummy before bed is not what first of all, what your body wants. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe hibernating mammals, I believe it is basically the switch to mate. So mammals that hibernate, an increase or decrease in melatonin will be what tells them to procreate or to go into hibernation. How the fuck is that what we take for sleep? Like, it's not something that is... a supplement should be...
Thinking to myself, why doesn't it help me then?
Yeah, well... but a lot of people have night terrors. A lot of people can't sleep because of it.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
so it's one of those
sleep
things,
paralysis.
I can't take it. It does not... I mean, take it once, whatever, but if I take it over a course of days, I will wake up in the middle of the night and I will not be able to go back to sleep.
I've heard of that too.
So it's one of those things that... And it's a $1 billion industry. You should not be able to buy that. That's something that should be like, you go to a doctor and doctor's like...
Especially a hormone.
Yeah, not to mention, it's also not a very well-regulated industry. What it says on the bottle, again, you secrete it throughout the day. You don't want 10 milligrams. If you take it, you want like half to 1 milligram. A lot of the ones you buy, it could say 1 milligram, it might be 5, it might be 0. It's not regulated. And again, that's where I would love to see more, not regulation, but people have understanding of what they're buying. You shouldn't be able to walk into a Walgreens and just pop 4 of them and then you wonder why you can't sleep. Magnesium threonate is, most people are deficient in magnesium. Magnesium threonate is very expensive. The threonate, Magtine is actually patented. It's a trademark thing. It's not just like a magnesium source.
Okay.
It can pass the blood-brain barrier. That's one of the things with a lot of ingredients that you don't see. It's actually something with choline that we can talk to you about later. I use magnesium threonate because it can pass the blood-brain barrier and it's phenomenal for sleep. It's actually great for neurologically too. There's very limited, if there's any side effects, there's none. People are deficient in magnesium anyway. You have things like magnolia bark, theanine, everything else that's in that product. We made a product that, again, it's not going to just knock you out. It's not an Ambien. It's not something like that. But if you practice good sleep hygiene, it will help you. I've been taking that formula 2 years now. I love it.
Non-addictive?
There's, again, not habit forming. Okay. There's nothing in it that makes you go like, oh my God, I need more of this. You can add other things. Like I add ashwagandha for myself. Although ashwagandha is something that you can wean off of, you can take sometimes. So, if I know I'm not going to sleep well or I'm going to bed late, I'll take ashwagandha with it. But it's an optional thing. There's no interactions with other products. It's something that Andrew Huberman talks about, the big 3. That was what started it. I was listening to Joe Rogan and Andrew Huberman, and he said, don't take melatonin. And Rogan asked him, what are the 3 to take? Theanine, magnesium threonate, and I can't think of apigenin. Yeah. And so we started with that, but instead of just copying what he said, you add things like magnolia bark extract, the glycine, black pepper extract, which is huge for absorption and for interactions within the other ingredients with the product. So again, we'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to tell you it's going to make you get 9 hours sleep. Butterflies are going to shoot out of your ass when you wake up, but it will help you.
It's happened to me though. There was like a bunch of butterflies all over the place.
I love butterflies, but I don't know if I want them coming out of my ass. But again, that's, I think, what ends up not selling. One bad thing for us is that if we really wanted to make more money, we could be unscrupulous and lie to people and say, this is going to help, this is this and this. I want to make a video once we make when the sleep formula comes out and say, hey, this isn't a magic pill. You still have to do it. It's like this. A lot of companies will act like you can get 4 hours of sleep, take this, and you're just going to have a PR. That's not how it fucking works.
Yeah.
You need to still sleep, recover, take care of yourself. Like, as a trainer, having one good day of it, it's not going to, it's a long-term thing.
For sure.
I love the name 110% because if you're operating close to 100%, it's that extra 10% that helps you through the day.
I just thought, I was laughing to myself because when you said I'm going to make a video on the sleep formula, I was like thinking to myself, so you pop it and you go to sleep.
You saw it? It's an 8-hour video on YouTube, me just sleeping.
I'm like, all right, interesting video. All right. But no, I think that's super awesome. I love that you've not necessarily just focused on getting you amped up, giving you the energy to go hit some PRs in the gym, but you're thinking about the whole big picture of like, you also have to recover from that workout. You also have to balance some of your hormones throughout the month as a female. And you also have to get through the work day. And supplements isn't necessarily just about hitting those PRs. It's about just being able to balance everything. And I love that. Yeah. I love that. Any last bit of advice for anybody who knows nothing about supplementation?
Use Google.
ChatGPT.
If you have zero understanding, you probably want to consult somebody. Maybe if you have a friend that's in the industry, just Googling is not enough. Because again, you pull up a PubMed article, you probably can't decipher half the things that are on there. So it's good to understand it and having a working knowledge of the ingredients and supplements. But again, you could take a product that you're interested in, Google every single ingredient, and even news articles. You might see something that says, hey, this is not good. Hey, this is this, or this is... It's going to help steer you in a direction. And I think that's better than relying on any, person. Ask the company. if someone DM me, I get it all the time, where someone says, hey, why'd you add this ingredient? I will actually either consult with Casey or tell them straight up. If you contact a company and they don't give you a straight answer, or they can't give you a straight answer, then ignore it, avoid it. I tell people all the time, I love the athletes that we have that are part of 110, but do not buy something because you love Wheeze or because you love Angela or because you love whoever it is. Buy it because you like the product, you see long-term value with it, and it helps you. And I think for somebody who's not in the industry, and this sounds crazy from a supplement company, you don't need supplements. I had a kid, it stuck with me when we first started. It was in the middle of COVID, right? Every sale mattered. We were getting like 2 sales a day because their gyms weren't open. This kid DM'd me. He's like 15 years old. He had never taken pre-workout, and he wanted to take pre-workout. And I could have sold him on it right there. I could say, buy 3 tubs. And I said, what do you take now? And he goes, I don't take any caffeine or anything. I just like eat an apple before I go to the gym. Oh, you should stay with that as long as you can. And he's like, what do you mean? If you can eat a banana or an apple or some fruits or some sugar and that gets you through your workout, stick with that until you literally can't do that anymore. Then add a little caffeine. And then maybe add a little bit more, maybe add some citrus, whatever, like slowly implement it. You don't have to just take, like I feel bad for these kids that go from never having drank coffee to a product that has 500 milligrams of caffeine and DMAA. I mean, you're jumping, like it's like trying to like go up a staircase by going from the bottom floor all the way up. You're never going to make it. And you're only going to crash all the way down and back to square one. What goes up must come down. And I think that people should start, slowly. Sleep formula. If you sleep great, you don't need a fucking sleep formula. If you have issues or you really care about it, like I find that these products I take really help me. I know I'm deficient in magnesium, etc. So people will just spend money just because they think it looks cool or whatever it is. And I think that you should do your research, ask the companies, and don't be afraid to experiment. Try a product in a silo and say, does this work for me? Okay.
I love that. DIY. Don't depend on it, and don't think that it's going to magically cure any deficiencies or solve all your problems. And if you do start to rely on supplements, slowly or gradually work your way up to a supplement.
Yes, absolutely.
Any last bits of advice?
I think for me, just know what your goal is. Like when you go into taking a supplement, whether it's pre-workout or balance, just know what it is that you're trying to get out of it. Because again, not every product is for every person. So knowing what you want to get out of it, knowing what you're trying to accomplish is going to help you figure out if the supplement is working for you.
And so with that, I just have a follow-up question. If you have a goal, how long until you determine whether the supplement is attributing to your goal or not?
I can speak to balance. There's been people that have messaged and said like, hey, it's only been 2 weeks and I haven't noticed any differences. And hormone balancing is definitely something that takes like months. It's not something that you can just take a pill. I mean, with birth control, sure. But with something that's natural, it takes months. So for that particular product, I would say definitely give it like at least a month to see if it's really making a difference. Kevin can speak more towards the other products, but I think pre-workout and stuff like that is a little more instantaneous. So
yeah, I think also people will overanalyze. Like you should take, like if I took pre-workout, right? I took this for 3 months and I enjoyed my workouts and I was having a good time. Am I going to really be like, oh my God, is it if it's working or I'm getting positive value out of what I'm doing, then keep doing it. I think people will overanalyze. I mean, it's obviously we want more analysis. We talked about it. I don't want to be a hypocrite and go the opposite way, but find things that help you to your goal. If you're hitting your goal week to week, month to month, why change it? You could always look for new ingredients or new products or whatever, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just like I said, if you don't take pre-workout and you're having successful workouts, you don't necessarily need it. If you enjoy something, there's no reason to nitpick to the point where because again, unless you pick apart every ingredient, you're not going to necessarily find something. Experiment. If you like 110, but you want to try a different product, try another product. Go back to it to see if it helped. But I think that I call it like 90 days, like a 90-day window. I think is more than enough. If you try a product and you have 90 days and you don't think it's helping, then then go deviate or go find another thing or stop taking it. But I think people should take things and think about their long. Like it's the same as like looking at the scale every single day and be like, oh my God, I'm up 2 pounds, and it's like, wait a second. Macro, not micro, How do you feel after a month or 2 weeks or 9, it's not like every single day, because there are times where I don't feel good and I take pre-workout and I still don't feel good. Well, that one day means I'm not going to take it anymore. I think it's just one of those things that find something that you can incorporate into your day, like $1.50 a day, a scoop, oh, I like that. Okay, it's good.
Right.
Like, I'm finding positive value with it, and I'm going to keep with it.
Right. So supplementation is an end all be all. Give it 90 days. If you see the effects, great. If you don't see the effects, try something else. See maybe if it works. If it doesn't work, go back to the thing that you enjoy most because you enjoy it, and it's true.
Supplements are exactly that. They're a supplementation.
Or supplementation.
This is not going to make you fly. You are not going to hit a PR solely because of this. It's going to be because you are putting the work in. You're eating right. You're sleeping right. You're recovering. Are there days where this saves my life, where I feel like shit and I go in the gym and I feel great after taking? Yes, but it's not magical. And I'll be the first person to tell you. And anyone who tries to sell you anything and tell you that's magical is full of shit, and you should avoid them. There's obviously value in it, but if it was a magic cure, it wouldn't be $1.50 a serving. It'd be a lot more. So I think that it's important to separate fact and fiction, find something that helps you, and stick with it. And avoid liars, avoid people that are trying to deceive you, or even products. Find what you like, and that's it.
Solid. If people wanted to contact you, where can they contact you and how?
So you have the 110% Instagram. You have papasupplements@gmail.com. And then you have our website, www.110sups.com.
Excellent. And folks, if you want to contact me, my Instagram handle is jorge.adapt. Our website is www.teamadaptations.com. So yeah, that's